Ever feel like you need to get up to speed on something complex,
Hmm.
like now, but don't have time for stacks of reports?
Yeah, that's pretty much the goal here, isn't it?
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really interesting hypothetical scenario, something you could almost imagine seeing in the news.
What if Dow Chemical were to, say, acquire Albemarle Corporation?
Precisely.
Yeah.
We've got our hands on this insightful piece from Cognitive Market Research. It's dated April 18th, 2025, so pretty fresh perspective.
And we're going to pull out the key stuff for you.
We are. We'll look at the strategic thinking. Why would they do it? What are the big customer trends driving things?
Which regions really matter in this picture?
And, of course, the competition. How does that landscape affect a potential deal like this?
And look, even if chemicals aren't your day job, the underlying ideas here.
Oh, absolutely. Making big decisions based on good information. That applies everywhere.
Definitely. And what really stands out in this hypothetical is how central market research is. It's not just data points, right?
No, it's about seeing the bigger picture, the trends shaping the whole industry.
Uh-huh. Spotting what's around the corner. This deep dive, it's basically like getting a look at how a giant like Dow would use that market intel.
To potentially make a multi-billion-dollar call.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive in then. Strategically speaking, what does the research say Dow might gain from bringing Albemarle into the fold?
Well, the first thing that jumps out, and the article highlights this strongly, is Albemarle's position in the energy transition.
Lithium, right, the battery stuff.
Lithium. It's
Mhm.
essential for EVs, for grid storage, and the growth projections are just, wow.
I saw that a five-fold increase in demand by 2030. That's
It's
significant.
massive. But, Dow's analysts wouldn't just see that headline number.
No, they'd need to know if Albemarle can actually deliver on that potential.
Precisely. They'd be digging deep into Albemarle's lithium supply chain. Where does it come from? Is it secure?
Like Chile and Australia, the article mentioned. Those big lithium spots.
Yeah, access to those regions is crucial. And resilience, too. Can they consistently get it? Plus, they look really closely at existing offtake agreements.
Those pre-sale contracts. Especially with the big EV makers.
Exactly. That shows guaranteed demand, which is, pretty important.
Sure is. And it's more than just having the lithium, isn't it? The research would need to cover the price swings
Oh, yeah, lithium prices can be volatile.
and regulations in different places, sustainability. That's huge now.
Absolutely. Dow would be assessing how acquiring Albemarle fits into their own green strategy. Does it boost their exposure? But also, what are the risks tied to mining, environment, all that?
It's a complex calculation.
Definitely. And that leads to another interesting point the research would cover. Albemarle isn't just lithium.
Right. They have other businesses, flame retardants, catalysts.
Correct. And the market trends for those are quite different, or so the research would likely suggest.
Okay, so how does that play out?
Well, on one side, you've got stricter safety rules pushing demand up for certain kinds of safer flame retardants, the bromine-based ones.
So that could be a plus?
Potentially, yeah. But then refinery catalysts, well, the world's moving away from fossil fuels slowly but surely.
So that market's probably facing some pressure.
That's the expectation. So for Dow, the market research is critical here. It tells them which parts of Albemarle are set for growth and which might need, restructuring, more investment, or maybe even divestment down the line.
It's not just a simple buy everything decision.
Far from it. It's about strategic alignment based on where the markets are heading.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How do customer demands, both consumers and industrial buyers, shape this?
That's absolutely crucial. Understanding what the end users want is key. And a big trend, as we all know, is sustainability.
People want greener products,
Yeah.
right? Electronics, buildings, cars.
Exactly. And often, Albemarle's materials are buried deep inside those products.
So Dow's research would try to connect the dots. How does owning Albemarle help them cater to that final consumer demand for sustainability?
Precisely. It strengthens their story across the whole value chain. The article gives a good example. Electronics companies wanting halogen-free flame retardants.
Because they're seen as more environmentally friendly.
Yeah. So, if market research flags that trend getting stronger, Dow might steer Albemarle's R&D in that direction post-acquisition. Focus on what customers will buy tomorrow.
Makes sense. And what about the big industrial customers? Energy companies, transport.
For them, reliability is often paramount. They need long-term, stable suppliers of raw materials.
So Dow would be checking Albemarle's track record. Delivery times, production capacity, existing relationships.
All of that. Can Albemarle meet those commitments consistently? Can the combined entity maybe even improve margins through better contracts or efficiency?
And this research isn't just about today, right? It's forward-looking.
Very much so. The article suggests things like customer interviews, looking at industry benchmarks, trying to figure out what customers will need next.
Like super pure lithium for new batteries
Right.
or catalysts for biofuels.
Exactly. Does Albemarle's innovation pipeline match up with those future expectations? That's a key question for long-term value.
Geography matters too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Albemarle spread out US, Chile, Australia, China.
Hugely important. Each region comes with its own package of opportunities and challenges.
Like Chile Salar to Atacama, massive lithium source, but environmental concerns too, water usage and things like that.
Right. So Dow would need a clear picture of the local regulations, Albemarle's environmental practices, how they engage with the community there. It's about risk assessment and long-term license to operate.
What about Asia? Big battery manufacturing hub?
Absolutely.
Oh.
China, South Korea, major lithium consumers. The research would help Dow figure out the best way to position Albemarle's assets to serve that market. Direct supply,
Or
joint ventures.
lots of options. And then
Yeah.
there's North America.
Yeah, big focus there on building domestic supply chains for critical minerals.
So Albemarle's U.S. operations become pretty strategic,
Hmm.
especially with things like the Inflation Reduction Act.
Very strategic. Understanding those incentives, any trade risks involved, that helps Dow fine-tune where they put their investment dollars regionally.
Okay, can't forget the competition. Who else is in this lithium game?
Good point. It's not like Albemarle has the field to itself. The article mentions key players like SQM, Ganfeng, Tianqi.
And they're all expanding production too.
They are. So Dow's research needs to compare Albemarle head-to-head. How do their production costs stack up? How vertically integrated are they? Do they control the process from mine to final product?
What about partnerships?
All part of the analysis. The article notes Albemarle seems strong in lithium hydroxide, which could be a competitive advantage depending on battery tech trends.
And all this competitive intel feeds into what? Valuation?
Valuation, definitely. Also estimating synergies, can they save cost or boost revenue by combining? And it shapes where they focus R&D after the deal.
Which brings us to technology itself. It's changing fast, especially batteries.
Incredibly fast. You hear about sodium ion, solid state, lithium, sulfur. These are all emerging chemistries.
So Dow needs to know if Albemarle is ready for that future, not just today's tech.
Exactly. Are there R&D efforts, their pilot programs aligned with where battery tech might be going? That's crucial for long-term innovation value.
And this tech assessment isn't just for lithium, right? It applies to the bromine and catalyst sides too.
Absolutely. Looking at patents, R&D pipelines, licensing deals in those areas, plus identifying potential overlaps with Dow's own portfolio.
To streamline things after the acquisition, avoid duplication.
Right. Make the integration smoother and more efficient.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of angles: strategic fit, demand, regions, competition, tech. If we pull back, what are the big strategic takeaways from this whole hypothetical exercise?
Well, I think the main thing, and the article really drives this home, is just how absolutely essential market research is for these massive chemical industry deals.
It's not optional, it's foundational.
Totally. Analyzing demand forecasts, regional issues, what customers want, who the competition is, it lets companies like Dow make much smarter, less risky decisions.
It reduces the chances of things going wrong during integration. Helps actually achieve those synergies everyone talks about.
Exactly. And particularly now, with industries being disrupted by electrification, decarbonization, digital tech.
You need that real-time intelligence just to keep up, let alone get ahead.
Couldn't agree more. And for any company looking at acquisitions, especially in energy or advanced materials, this highlights that balance you need.
Between the short-term financials and the long-term strategic vision.
Yeah. You want assets that look good now, sure, but also ones positioned for future demand with sustainable supply chains and, a strong innovation engine.
Makes sense. Oh, before we forget, that fast fact from the article was pretty telling.
Yes, about Albemarle's position.
Yeah, top global lithium producer for EV batteries, operations in Chile, Australia, the U.S., really highlights why they'd be seen as such a prime strategic asset for the energy transition.
It really paints the picture, doesn't it? Underscores the whole strategic logic we've been discussing.
So wrapping this up, our deep dive into this Dow Albemarle hypothetical really shows market research isn't just one piece of the puzzle. It's kind of the edge pieces, helping define the whole picture.
Understanding the strategic angle, the demand shifts, the geography, the competition, the tech, it's all informed by that research. It lets you move beyond guesswork.
Make decisions based on actual intelligence.
And For everyone listening, even if billion-dollar chemical deals aren't your world, the core principle holds true.
The power of being informed.
Exactly. Understanding your market, your customers, your competition, anticipating trends. That applies whether you're in manufacturing, tech, services, even managing your own career path.
That's a great point. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener. Think about this. How does your version of market research, really understanding your field, your customers, your industry's direction, influence the choices you make?
Yeah, even if it feels miles away from lithium and catalysts, that need for strategic foresight backed up by good information.
It's pretty universal, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's key to navigating whatever changes are coming your way. We really hope you'll keep digging, keep learning, and stay informed.
absolutely. In a world changing this fast, it's more important than ever.